Good evening. Please forgive us in our delay as we had a lot of business to address while we transition out here. So please forgive our departure, our arrival. I would like to adjourn the Board of Education closed session. Forgive me, recess, thank you, Board, at 7:06. Technically, that was the case. I'd like to reconvene the Board of Education open session at 7:17. Monrovians, since we do not have anyone to entertain us with the Pledge of Allegiance, I'm going to ask all of us to sing while I sing first tenor. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That sound good in unison. I would like to acknowledge that all are present here this evening, which includes the award-winning board member in the likes of Mr. Chris Rich. It's true. If you did not know, Chris, why don't you explain it?
Explain it? All right, I was part of an Emmy Award-winning producing team for a TV show, so I won an Emmy back on April 29th, so
That's
thank
right.
you very much.
That's right.
I don't toot my own horn very well, so thank you, Mr. President.
You're very welcome. That's a big deal here in Monrovia. Mr. Rich works in the background of the show. What is the name of the show, Mr. Rich? The Talk. I'm just having fun, guys. With regards to the closed session held, we had several business decisions to make, as I articulated earlier. Some of that will be addressed at the end of our meeting here. The board agenda, discussion presentation items, which could include input from representative agendized matters, may be moved up on the agenda. Dr. Terosian, do we have such?
Thank you, President Williams. We will be moving action item J3 to follow public comment and action item J5 to follow facility projects.
So noted and received. Approve the minutes of the regular Board of Education.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Huff?
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Rich?
Abstain.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board Member Gilliland?
Yes.
Board President Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you, Ms. Huff. Item F, recognition. We're recognized in communication, which includes our missing varsity baseball team. That was a conflict with their schedule, so we will move that at our next board meeting and celebrate those guys. If you did not know, we went to the CIF finals, and we came up short. I don't like to use the term lost as a Wildcat. I'll just say we came up short. In addition to that, the Board of Education would like to commend the Rangers of Canyon Park for the educational opportunities provided to the students of the Monrovia Unified Schools District. The Monrovia Canyon Park Outdoor Education Program. Dr. Terosian, who's going to lead us in that capacity?
President Williams, members of the board, Dr. Kaiser has a short presentation, and we are so grateful for our partnership with the Rangers.
Good evening. I would love to talk a little bit about our Canyon Park Outdoor Education Program. Years ago, this was an idea of none other than Joanne Springs, and in her desire to have young people go up into our beautiful canyon and experience the canyon. But it wasn't just going on a walking field trip like a Saturday afternoon. It was using our canyon as a live classroom. And so through the years, the accomplishment has been adding grade levels up and down the spectrum until now we have programs for kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth grade students to go up and to have their standards in the next generation science standards taught in the outdoor environment of our canyon. It's not just simple looking at leaves and trees, but it's things like water conservation and looking at what is actually growing and alive in the water. The fifth graders go up and use some field microscopes to look at the little organisms so that they begin to understand that our water contains life. It's not just water coming out of the tap, but that it has life in it. The second grade children go up and release butterflies. They hatch butterflies in their classrooms and they go up and release them. Kindergarten we felt was a little young to sustain their attention over the course of a day. And so the rangers come into the classroom for the kindergartens in every one of our schools and they present what they're going to be learning in the canyon, and they teach them about the out of doors. And what a thrill for our kindergarten children to see a ranger dressed in a ranger outfit come into their room and talk to them about something that's very motivating like that. So we are none but proud of the work that these people have done to facilitate this learning for our students. A couple of years ago, if you would remember, at CSBA, we were selected to give a presentation at the California School Boards Association on this project, and it was called NGSS in Your Backyard. It received a lot of attention from the folks at that conference. So we would love to have the board honor our rangers, and I'll invite them to the podium, and let's find out who they are with Mr. and Mrs. Springs.
Okay. Dr. Kaiser has given you a bit of a background of this, and I wasn't the only one who was involved in the beginning of this program. At the time that Don Montgomery was superintendent, he asked me if I would be willing to serve on a committee with some people from the city. And I sat with Glenn Owens, some of these names are familiar to you, Dan Iwata, Michelle Tompkins, and at a later time, Susan Immer, to brainstorm about the educational center that we hoped would impact our students. The program evolved, and I personally believe it's a treasure, an absolute treasure for our Monrovia youth. An award-winning curriculum resulted that has earned statewide recognition, and as Dr. Kaiser said, we now have kindergartners through fifth graders involved in this program. In the past years, both City and MUSD have been awarded Golden Bells for this unique partnership, and it's viewed as a win-win program for all those involved. The belief that the future of environmental stewardship lies with our children and connecting them through discovery and investigations of the surroundings is a worthy goal to which both city and schools strive. I want you to know that this school year, tours began early last September and ended last month with 2,417 Monrovia children being served by Canyon staff and a group of committed volunteers with expertise in program delivery. Kudos go to Eugene, Marlene, Kat, Ed, Janine, Todd, Nanette, and so many others who met the buses and delivered the goods to 93 MUSD elementary classes, including special arrangements for special education classes who were physically able to participate. Scheduling, transporting, financing, and actively and positively engaging those 2,417 children in this type of science education can be tricky at times. But we found that the teamwork works, and our hope is that this joint endeavor will continue. So thank you, MUSD Board, for promoting and allowing this to happen. And we want to thank the Canyon staff and volunteers for making it work so well. So tonight we have a representative group from the Canyon. This is Ed and Nanette and Todd, and they are three of the people who meet those buses and deliver the goods, which is not an easy thing. Ed just told me that sometimes herding cats is a little easier than herding elementary school children, but he has spent 20 years plus actually in the program as a volunteer. So we have a certificate that we would like to present to them tonight, and I want to read what it says. Monrovia Unified School District Board of Education wishes to recognize Monrovia Canyon Park Outdoor Education Program for the educational opportunities provided to the students of the Monrovia Unified School District. And we also have a plaque that we're going to present to them that they are going to put on the wall in the Nature Center so that the whole world can see that they have supported us so honorably in this task that they have. So these are they. And I don't know, do we shake their hands or do anything special?
We're looking, Miss Ann. Thank you all very much. Most appreciate it. Outstanding. And thank you, Ms. Joanne Springs, for continuing to shine in our district and for correcting me the other night when I got out of line. Everybody on this diocese know what I'm talking about. She still has that hold. The Board of Education would like to commend the Transportation Department of the Monrovia Unified School District for their excellence in ensuring the safe transport of our kiddos of the Monrovia Unified School District. I want to personally thank you guys before whomever comes to the podium for taking care of my son Sam for so long. I see some, Miss Maria, you set the tone when you scared the likes out of Sam several years ago, and I will forever be grateful for that. So Dr. Terosian, who would lead us in this capacity, please?
Thank you, President Williams. Ms. Wu will come to the podium to recognize the adults who first meet our students at the beginning of each morning and really set the tone for every day.
Thank you, Dr. Terosian. Good evening, board. Good evening, staff and community member. It is my pleasure to introduce the District Transportation Department. In the past couple of years, the Transportation Department has overcome several challenges. They operate without a director for almost a year, and during that time, the department also did not have a bus mechanic, and there were issues with our contract vendor fulfilling their contractual agreement. Due to the leadership of our lead bus driver, Maria Barner, and the support of the team, we did not miss a single day for transport school students to school and homes. Earlier this month, one of our bus vendors canceled their service without advance notice, leaving two of our school sites without transportation for scheduled future. The sites were very disappointed, thinking about they would have to cancel their future. Once again, the team pulled together and adjusted their schedules, working extra hours to provide service to our students and staff without any disruptions. Therefore, we would like to commend the Transportation Department for their excellent service to our students and the community. I have a certification of recognition from the board, and I'm going to read a sample. The Monrovia Unified School District Board of Education wish to recognize Maria Barnon, Transportation Department, for going above and beyond to ensure the staff support and the safety transportation for our students of Monrovia Unified School District. So I will call name and each of you come here to recognize your certificate, okay? The first one is Maria Bonner, our lead bus drivers. So the next one is Mr. Ron Farron, our bus mechanics. The next one is our senior bus driver, Patty Carter. And Mr. Jim Campbell. And Mrs. Luisa Escandon. And Patricia Montoya.
I'd also like to make note and commend the bus drivers for their readiness during the fire, which was next to Mr. Hammond's home. Our bus drivers were ready to evacuate those who needed evacuation. So thank you for that. It's almost surreal because I know all you personally, because I know all you dealt with my special need kid. And so Red Lobster's down the road. Oh, Lord. Okay. Next, we'll entertain our board reports by Mr. Rich.
Thank you, President Williams. A few months ago, if you remember, we signed an MOU with a program for our adult school and television, video, film production program. And Mr. Jimmy Clifton was here that night. And Dr. Terozzi and I, on this past Saturday, had the opportunity to go to Santa Clarita on set, where they actually have they teach the program, but they were shooting a pilot or a potential pilot, hopefully. And we just got to go visit and see what they actually do. It was the last day of the program. It's an 8-week program. And we have 32 students in this program. And I was only there for an hour or two. Did you stay and be an extra? Were you an extra that day?
I was neither an
Okay.
extra nor did I have a pie thrown in my face, as
Oh, there
I
you go.
understand Mr. Russell did.
Mr. Russell, Mr. Ferdig, and Mr. Ferdig's daughter were there. They were all part of it and part of being extras and acting in it and just enjoying the program. But this program takes our adult ed students, gives them real world experience with world-class gear. I mean, they had hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of cameras, lighting, sound on this set where they were, and it gives them the experience to go out and get jobs. And if I remember correctly, 30 of the 32 had jobs waiting for them after the program was done, and that was finished on Saturday. So it's an excellent program. Not only is it a positive revenue stream for the district, it's a program that really gives students adult students, a chance to get a skill set to go out and get some work. And we had 32 students this time. Flint's expecting 3 times that, maybe, the next time around. And the exciting part, too, is that's in Santa Clarita right now. They would like to help establish some studio space here in Monrovia and teach it closer to home. We're within the 30-mile radius of Hollywood, so, you know, a lot of work can come this way, and a lot of work comes to Monrovia anyway. But to have that experience and that program close to home and get some articulation and collaboration with our high school program, with our college partners that are in the area, it's just, you know, the possibilities are endless, and it's very exciting to see. So it was good to go up there and visit, and we enjoyed it immensely. So good job from Mr. Fertig and Mr. Russell for putting all this together.
Mr. Gilliland.
For my report tonight, I just want to thank every person that works for this school district for another great, successful year. We had dramatic increases in our math and English scores in many of our schools. We had championship sports teams. We had robotics teams go on to Worlds again. And I could go on up here for the rest of the time that we have, but I won't. I would just say staff, teachers, principals, administrators, bus drivers, personnel folks, every one of you that's involved in this district, thanks for another great year.
Mr. Hammond.
On behalf of the board, I'd like to congratulate each one of our students who graduated. We'd like to congratulate each one of our students who promoted. We would like to thank the parents in the district who made sure they got their kids to school each and every day so that we were successful and your students were successful, and our teachers. As we go through the summer, it's a very short summer, as I remember with the kids coming home. It's like they just seem to get shorter and shorter as the kids got older and older. And to all of our students who are going on to a 4-year university or 2-year community college or into the military, remember always that we will always be proud of you for your time here in our schools.
Well said. Next, we'll have a board report from our own Dr. Kathy Terosian.
Well, and I do want to thank the board and all the people who made all of our graduations so spectacular. And really a special congratulations to you, President Williams. This was an extraordinary moment.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, I lost it. It's just so many people in the village that helped me get here. Over gratitude to Dr. Sue Kaiser for demonstrating an example of a parent who already has a special need kid. Doc, that motivated me and my wife so much, and so I will be forever grateful for that example. And I would like to thank the board. We have a friendship here, guys. I know we're doing the business, but we actually get along. And just the demeanor and the distance and the time they allowed me to have to prepare myself for this huge moment. I just never thought I would see my son, a special needs kid, going to this level. And so we're blessed to be in an environment of this school that we embrace all of our kids, inclusion. The board allows me to speak on that because I'm limited with my kid. And so the diversity that you hear and see up here, it means something, you know, especially with Chris representing in the capacity that he works in, you know, with the theater and the filming, and Mr. Hammond, who's had a history of leadership in different capacities in this city, and Mr. Wong, who's been here for 14 years, and Mr. Gilliland, who I consider a gentle giant. But this was one of the highlights of my life, watching my son do this. And this has encouraged my wife and I to move forward in a positive way and continue to speak on behalf of the special education. So thank you for that notice, Dr. Terosian. We have public comments. The Board of Education encourages public participation. It invites you to share your views on school business. And hopefully you have completed a form and handed it to Ms. Huff already. But Ms. Huff, do we have public comments for items not on the agenda?
There are none.
public comments for items on the open session agenda?
There are none.
Thank you. As Dr. Terosian indicated earlier, we have moved up item J3, so we definitely want to entertain that right now at this moment, please.
And I'll turn it over to Dr. Kaiser to tell us about our exciting extension of our partnership with the Coates Group.
Thank you, Board and Cabinet and members of the community. I'd like to welcome to the podium our Plymouth folks, as this is our next school that is going to be entering into an agreement with the Coates Foundation. The Board of Education is requested to approve the Memorandum of Understanding between the Coates Foundation for the Art of Teaching, the Monrovia Unified School District, and Plymouth Elementary School from July 1st, 2018 until June 30th, 2020. That's 2 years. This grant provides the Monrovia Unified School District with funds to cover 2 years of a full-time salary and cost of benefits for one selected mentor at Plymouth Elementary School, which includes items such as paid time off for sick leave, holidays, and other authorized absences. In addition, these mentors are under an agreement and they receive up to 13 days paid time off per year for other professional activities. Each of the teachers that's learning under the tutelage of the Coates program receives $1,000 per school year for their professional activities, and all of this is provided at no cost to the district. The Coates Foundation for the Art of Teaching is a nonprofit funded by the heirs of the Neutrogena company. So when you buy Neutrogena sober products, know that you are assisting with some of the finest professional development that we've had in our district. To explain a little bit more about this program as it's going to be contextualized at Plymouth, I've invited 2 of the teachers and the principal, Mr. Greg Giroux, to explain the program to us.
Good evening, board members, district leaders, and guests. So it's my privilege to speak briefly about this amazing opportunity that we're afforded through our partnership with the Coates Foundation. And I think I'll start by reading the Coates Foundation's mission statement because I believe it says a lot about what this partnership means to our school. The mission of the Coates Foundation for the Art of Teaching is to transform good teachers into great teachers. This transformation occurs through a program in which proven educators receive coaching and mentoring to achieve the highest levels of teaching excellence. Excellent teachers change the lives of children. These consummate professionals spark a passion for learning in the hearts and minds of young people. They open up new worlds of understanding, give new tools for exploration, and embolden the confidence of children as learners. Our vision is that every child experiences the magical touch of excellent teachers, and for a lifetime, they remember those who helped them become exuberant, lifelong learners. So I know we're all here for the same purpose. We're here for children. And although there are many factors that influence schools, the single most important factor in determining how well a child learns in school is the classroom teacher. And we know this to be true intuitively, and it's supported by a robust body of research. So how do teachers improve? Or more specifically, how do we best support the continuous improvement of teachers and of schools? And that's been my area of focus for at least the past 15 years, the topic of my dissertation in teacher mindset. And so an ideal program for promoting the development of great teachers would include at least 5 characteristics. 1, provide high quality professional development opportunities. 2, support the autonomy of teachers by making it primarily self-driven and reflective. 3, create a network of like-minded, improvement-driven educators who collaborate, consult, and support each other. 4, provide strategic coaching to facilitate an improvement-driven cycle. And 5, embed the professional development within the classroom so that there's an immediate and direct application to teaching practice. Wouldn't it be great if such a program existed? And so I found out last fall that such an organization does indeed exist. The Coates Foundation has been carefully designed for this purpose with a track record of success and an impeccable reputation for quality. 8 of our teachers at Plymouth applied and were accepted as Coatson Fellows and a Coatson Mentor over the next 2 years. And you'll hear from 2 of these inspiring teachers, Sheena Rayholm and Shannon Varner, who are here with me this evening. To say that I'm excited about this, the impact that this will have on our school would be a gross understatement. I believe that this will be a game changer. Make no mistake, we already have exceptional teachers at Plymouth, and we're enjoying unprecedented student success. But our partnership with Coatson promises to build a school-wide culture of teaching excellence and a drive to continuously improve, reaching higher levels of teaching excellence and increasing our impact on student learning and achievement. I'm grateful for the leadership and vision of Dr. Kaiser and our district leaders for forging this partnership with the Coatson Foundation and for providing this amazing opportunity for our school. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sheena Rayholm. I just want to say thank you for having us and for this opportunity with Coatson. As a fellow who's going to be doing Coatson the next 2 years, I'm extremely excited for this opportunity to continue to grow and just really hone in on my teaching abilities and the practices I use in my classroom to really reflect in a meaningful way and to continue to grow as a teacher. And so this opportunity is extremely exciting for us, and I know I can't wait to get started. We went to an orientation 2 weeks ago, and it was full of information and just very exciting. I know we all left going, okay, we're ready for fall, let's start. So thank you for this opportunity.
I'd like to say the same thing. I absolutely am very excited to do this type of professional development where you get to set your goals and then work on those goals, and you're going to have the support of a mentor who comes in and helps you collect data and then reflects back with you on how you can improve your practice in a way that's meaningful to yourself and to your students. And as we start to specialize a little bit more, that's harder and harder to find when we start taking these unique paths. So this opportunity seems like such a really unique in funding, but also in support and in learning for the kids. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity to participate. Thank you.
So we do have certificates for our 2 teachers that have come. They are representing the 9 folks that are involved in Coatson at their school, both Shannon Varner and Sheena. Thank you so much for being here.
Do we have any questions or comment for Dr. G before he leaves the podium?
No, but we have to take action.
Yeah, I need to entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Huff?
Board Member Rich,
Yes.
Board Member Hammond,
Yes.
Board Member Gilliland,
Yes.
Board Member Wong,
Yes.
Board President Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Thank you, Plymouth. Thank you, Dr. G.
Thank you.
And now we're at the informational reports and presentations, which will be led by a lobbyist update by Dr. Terosian.
And as David Turch and Amanda Stevenson make their way to the podium, let me just say this has been a learning opportunity for us all. It takes some out-of-the-box thinking to try and find new ways legislatively to make our opportunities within Monrovia just a little different and better for our students. And Mr. Church, I'll turn it over to you.
What an introduction to say it's a learning opportunity, my gosh. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Madam Superintendent, delighted to be here. A thumbnail sketch of David Turch and Associates. We are a major federal advocacy firm in Washington. Our client base is international in scope, defense clients in Europe, and we have recently begun work for 2 divisions of NTT, a major Japanese company. Historically, we've done work from Oregon to Florida. We are the dominant public sector firm in the Los Angeles basin, and today, maybe even all of California. It's good to be back here in Monrovia. I think our first experience with Monrovia goes back to participating in the federal presence when you were renovating the downtown in the historic district, and that's come most recently to the transit center. We're just honored to have this institution as one of our clients. And with me tonight is, hiding way in the back, Amanda Stevenson, who is a Southern Californian, Chino and Newport Beach. Her family in its entirety are teachers. Her grandfather that we know as Neighbor Dave kind of always reminds me of Mr. Rogers, but Neighbor Dave retired in special education. Her grandmother, her aunt, her mother continues to teach the 2nd grade in Newport News. In any event, delighted to be here. We have, in the few months we've had you as a client, already been quite active. So tonight, you are known not just locally for your electeds, but people who matter, who chair committees, the committee staffs, both House and Senate, and that's also true down in elementary and secondary division of the U.S. Department of Education. We want to move fairly quickly, so I want to address in the end a couple of things I think we can do better, one of which is asking for your participation to come to Washington. My allotment of pixie dust is running a little short, so it'll help a lot if you're there from time to time and you put a face on the things that we're really doing. One example is I know Ms. Stevenson has been very active. One of the early things we identified for this school district is your inability to move funds between one category and the other. I know Amanda put in countless hours working at DOE to develop a pilot project that for which you could qualify that will allow you, unlike maybe some other places in the U.S., remember, I'm fiercely loyal to my clients. So I'm in favor of education all across the U.S., provided it really benefits you. But in the end, that didn't quite meet your needs, but we need then to have a better conduit, I think, of communication between Amanda to define a little bit more so we have a better understanding of how you can be more flexible with money that comes down to you. We put an awful lot of time into that particular project and we've moved forward. That's just one example of programmatic things that we can do. And we have a reputation as a firm of having achieved things that are unique in our nation's history. Most recently, I would cite, in an era in which earmarks are forbidden, year before last, I could get away with only one. And we separated out the Ontario International Airport from Los Angeles World Airports, and to accomplish that, there had to be an exchange of up to $250 million, of which $70 million is specifically prohibited by federal statute. I changed the statute, only for those two airports. We want to do the same thing for you going forward. And a part of your issue will be funding. I may have the most sophisticated funding analysis programs in Washington. We send them out to you in a pretty cursory fashion. We hope that you're getting them on a regular basis. And they just identify things in which you might be interested. And remember, our charge to you is to win and have an ROI at the end of the year. And correspondingly, you don't care where funds come from. So you really don't care in the end if they come out of HHS or Department of Agriculture or DOD. And I like to use the example, and I really have to go back and verify that this is true. But in America, the institution that spends more money fighting or researching breast cancer than any others is the U.S. Department of Defense. In the end, could be defense dollars. You don't really care where they come from. We send you cursory things in which we think you'd be interested. If you have the most remote interest, you call Kevin Bosch in our research department, and Kevin then will give you the full implication of what this is about, what you have to do to apply, and in many cases, he'll even give you an analysis. Is it worth doing? Yeah, it's probably not. but we'll tell you that straightforwardly. We're excited at the moment because we have a very good friendship with Dick and Betsy DeVos. It's our interest in Grand Rapids and Kent County, Michigan, so we knew them long before we've come back to know you as an institution. Life changes, things aren't the same all the time. We need to strike really while the iron is hot. Well, we have that access to the very top of the department. Let's take advantage of it. Better communication, and I almost plead with you to plan a trip to come to Washington. Put the face on the paper. People see, they like to see Amanda, they like to see me less well, but having your face there in the end really makes a difference. Now, if I can answer any questions you have, I'll be happy to answer them, and hearing none, I want to thank you very much for listening to me.
Well, I do have a comment for the audience and the one that are listening on TV. The Board of Education made a trip last year in June on behalf of special education funds. If you're not aware, we are receiving, correct me, Diocese, but 12% of the funds that were promised to us. Based upon that effort, Dr. Terosian, under our directions, reached out to a lobbyist. So with regards to your question, open question, special education was our focus when we were there. Any comments?
Just one. I have an extensive relationship with David Churchin and Associates, and I can speak firsthand experience with their ability to help navigate the halls of Washington, D.C. Mr. Church is absolutely correct, and the funding that we received for the improvements for downtown and for our transit center were specific because of the leadership that was exhibited by his office in helping us procure those, because it's really hard to find where the buckets are. And unless you're there all the time, you would be unable to do that. And many of us have relationships with people in Sacramento and in Washington, D.C., but he has relationships with 435 people in the House, which makes it a more powerful tool to have, as well as the 50 senators that are in the on the Senate side. So it makes it much more easier to navigate that or provide an answer. The only thing that I want to concentrate on is maybe the issue is not so much the funding mechanism, but working on the legislative side to create the rule that makes it easier for the funding mechanism to happen. So I would not want to lose one at the expense of the other. I wouldn't want to chase dollars when I had an opportunity to chase legislation that would cure it forever.
Excellent point, Mr. Hammond.
I don't think this board has any problem with coming to DC. We all went for our discussions with our representatives for special ed, and I'm sure that we are all willing to come. So I hope you're working with Dr. Throsian to define when the best time for us to come would be. I know there are times in the budget cycle and in the legislative cycle that are better than others. So I just would ask you to, unless you can just stand there and say, oh, come in April, or, you know, but.
Well, I could say that, not with any accuracy, but I can say almost anything. The answer is that we used to have a really defined time when we were doing the appropriation bills within a cycle, and we had earmarks. And the difference is we don't have earmarks. And correspondingly, it's a whole lot less precise in determining when you should be there. And the issues maybe, the seasons have changed and now they intermingle. So there's no firm answer. But we will take a look at what works for you and what works for the national legislature. Where we are now is we're now down to give you an idea, the last 30 working days for the U.S. House. We work very hard, just, I guess, not all that often.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for listening to me.
Next informational report presentation comes from the facility projects. Ms. Wu?
Good evening, board, cabinet, staff members. And our school just closed last week, and now our summer project started. Here is a list of the summer project we plan to do. And the picture on the on your left-hand side is the cafeteria floor at the Santa Fe. We starting remodel that floor, and the project's already started. The right-hand side picture is the marquee and the Mayflower. Thank Mayflower PTA support, and they funded the replacement of these two marquee, and the project has already been approved by DSA, and we are looking forward to start the project soon. We still need to seek some consultant, such as the inspector, so once we have the team together, then we're going to move forward with the project. The also listed is, we also will do the HVAC in the press box, because we have expensive equipment in that press box. Make sure that the temperature in that room not exceeding certain limits, so that damage our project. And also the kindergarten playground. Because of the increased enrollment at the Plymouth and the Monroe, we will replace the kindergarten playground equipment. This equipment will allow the special education kids will play around the equipment, as well as the updated code, because over the years, the requirement for the playground code has been increased. So this equipment definitely will meet the code. And also, we're talking about replace carpet in the 5 portable at the Plymouth Elementary School, and as well as do the regular maintenance at the high school auditorium, and install no signage at Bright Oaks. I think install signage based on the earlier discussion looks like not only one side, looks like we need more at a different side, including the high school. So here's some drawing about kindergarten equipment at Plymouth. This is also the drawing for the Monroe kindergarten equipment. Here are the summer project we're able to use our in-house MOT staff talent to do. This including the painting the hallway and the room 210 for the high school, because high school want to use that room for the multi-purpose. And also the adult transition program area, we want to beautify that area, make it more bright and pleasant for our ATP students. And also the staff lounge at the White Rose, and again, high school and the signage. And we were lucky that we have support for the counseling for the program, and then we would like to provide the office in the 5 elementary school site. Here's some future project. The first one is ceramic classroom. This is the project in conjunction with the adult education program. And the playground remodeling at the CLC, and this is the coding requirement. The landscape design at the front of Monrovia, and later on in my budget slide, I will share with the board the funding sources for this various project. And also the fencing from the east side of the Bright Oaks, and the facility at the Bright Oaks office area, because the old design is no longer meet the current code, so we are required to remodel that area to keep the privacy. So those are the future projects we can think about. Of course, there are possibly more projects come up. So if board and staff member think some project you guys think it's worth to do, or it's kind of urgency, please let us know. And here's the technology project. I will have our CTO present to the board.
Forgive me, Ms. Wu, before you transition to the technology project,
okay.
I just want to entertain to the audience that Mr. Hammond was making some comments regarding our upgrade in front of the school, where we are, shall I say, water conservative? Because
yes,
you know. But I just wanted the audience to know that during our study session, we were trying. We did determine how we're going to move forward, and a lot of it had to do with the water conservation that was brought up to us by Mr. Hammond.
That's correct. And we also have a contract to come in to do the design work.
Thank you, Ms. Wu.
Okay.
Forgive me, Charles.
Yeah, any question regarding the facility project? Okay.
I might as well add the inclusiveness that I was articulating earlier with regards to the special needs. That's what the district is also involved with, as Ms. Wu had just shared with all the bullet points. The inclusiveness, I just wanted to make sure it's highlighted that we are addressing our special needs as well.
Mr. President, we're talking about the second building upgrade, the courtyard and the interior space at the ATP. Any question regarding the facility project?
Questions or comments, Ms. Wu? Thank you.
Actually, I apologize. One question, the fencing on the east side of the Brad Oaks Elementary School campus, is that one that we, as Ms. Wu and I were discussing it, and as Mr. Cross was here and was discussing it with us, we thought that that might be a project that we can bring back to you next at the next board meeting for review and to consider it in a little more timely a manner, and to have something just on that east side of the Brad Oaks campus work on that just a little more rapidly.
Yeah, well, what Dr. Terence mentioned that because before there's I think 4 or 5 trees in that parking lot because the tree is dead, so we are required to remove it. So there's no tree in that area. So that's why Dr. Terence would the board to approve to move that project.
The fence is close to the covered walkway then?
While we'd have to go back and take a look at it, that's the idea, is to put it closer to the covered walkway and have a clear separation between that and the parking lot.
So basically to go straight down to the cafeteria in a line.
Probably, yeah.
Is that the gist?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Wu.
Good evening, President Williams, board members, district staff, members of the community. We have quite a few technology projects lined up for this summer. As you know, we upgraded wireless at Mayflower, Plymouth, Santa Fe, and MHS over the course of the school year. We actually just finished Clifton Middle School this past weekend, and we're planning to finish the rest of the school sites before school begins. What we're also planning to do is a district-wide firewall replacement as well. Our firewall is going to be end of life of this upcoming September. So we're planning to replace the firewall and have it installed hopefully the day after 4th of July. And pending board approval, we're also planning to upgrade our Aries software as well. We also have things that are in planning stages or almost done with planning stages and are about to go out to bid. One of them is the AV Santa Fe AV upgrade at Santa Fe. We've received 3 proposals. We've vetted, the district has vetted the proposals. We're planning to make changes and solicit more updated quotes, and we hope to bring that for board approval at the next board meeting. And also with the systems that we're putting together at Santa Fe, we're planning to possibly scale that down as well, a similar system, and have that implemented at Wild Rose. What we'll also plan to do is also create a district office visitors information center. We're just planning to mount the TV out where the Golden Bell is and relocate the Golden Bell to this wall. And we're going to install a wireless presentation system so that when we have meetings, we can actually have AV on both of these screens and the TV at the same time. And when there's no meetings, we can also have calendars or slideshows or whatever information we want to display for visitors as they come in, displayed as they come into the lobby. Throughout the school year, I've had questions as to whether or not there has been network connectivity at the football field. I've had enough of these questions about that we're actually going to start looking into the feasibility of having network connectivity over there. We're not sure exactly if the wiring is bad. We also know that stuff that has been put there has tended to overheat, so we're going to try to figure out how to install wireless there so that we can do things such as streaming of the football games, among other things. And one of the things that we're also exploring that's in planning stages right now is that our server software is actually very old. We're actually running Windows Server 2003, and it's a pretty big project to try to bring them all up to date. So I'm actually working with multiple consultants to solicit quotes, and I hope to bring a proposal for board approval in the upcoming month or two to consider in upgrading our district server software. Any questions?
Comments to the audience with regards to the technology at the high school. This is something that Board Member Rich and I have been talking about for 3 years. We thought it would behoove us not to consider entertaining our live broadcast in all of our sports activities, which includes football, basketball, swimming, and anything. Mr. Rich and I thought that we would frankly draw an additional audience and inclusive with regards to support from the community. We've got sponsorship. We think the sponsorship will increase if we start broadcasting live. People want to see their kiddos. The community want to see us too. And it may encourage, it will encourage increased participation at our games. And so thank you for cementing that effort. And Mr. Rich, again, we're going back to our lanes where we do occupationally. Thank you for being that cement to move forward with regards to live streaming. Mr. Charles, you mentioned, which I'm aware of, obviously, about the television in the hallway there. Now, is it going to be showing our stream or just what's being mirrored here on the board here?
Initially, it's going to be shown what's being mirrored on the board.
Okay, because we need to consider a TV in here for our public. And I've shared that with Dr. Terosian and others. We really need to consider our public and making everything transparent. I'm just a believer that if the public saw this, what this gentleman is doing with us right now, and they can actually see it, it would encourage others to view our school board information, which includes our administrative. And so that's just my vision. Any comments for Mr. Charles?
A couple to add. Excuse me.
Sure.
Jumping in front of you. Thank you, President Williams, for the comments. And I think, in regard to live streaming, as we're exploring the possibility, we have the Digital Information Technology Academy, which includes our television production team at the high school, Monrovia High School. We have, this new program with the adult school, and we're talking about partnering with colleges around us. It's not just live streaming of athletic events. It could be meetings. It could be performances with the proper licensing. It could be any event at any building, any campus in our district. And not just live streaming. It can be archived on, I think it's YouTube we're talking about, right? With YouTube, we live stream to YouTube channel, and it's archived on the YouTube servers, so anyone can access it at a later date. They don't have to watch it live. They can watch it later at their convenience. But I think, Charles, that we need to explore not just the network bandwidth and capability at Monrovia's football stadium, but at every building in the district, so we have that ability. And we're talking about being able to create internships for our TV production students to do that work anywhere in the district. So we should have the capability and check the feasibility of having the capability of doing that anywhere within our district, on any campus, any building, any school property. And in regard to the AV upgrades to Santa Fe, I think it was Wild Rose that was up there, and any of the other schools that are going to come up with those upgrades, our intent and goal is to make those systems that go in, if not exact, extremely similar, so they're consistent from campus to campus. So anyone with the knowledge of how to operate one at one campus, will be able to operate another system at the other or any other campus, whether it be audio, video, lighting. So we want to try to create some consistency there so that it's user-friendly throughout the district.
Do we have any kind of timeline on when, although we're obviously identifying the entire district, for the football stadium area, we know that there's going to be and is an immediate demand to see all of our games streamed, whether they're football or soccer. Do we have timelines?
I haven't
or
tested.
costs for that matter?
I haven't tested the line yet, so I'm not sure if a new line needs to be run. But if the assumption is that the line is good, I've already received quotes on what the equipment would look like, and I'm surprised because industrialized equipment has gone down dramatically in price over the past few years. The equipment that's made to withstand high temperature, and it's actually only a few $1,000s for the equipment. So now the question now is to find out if the line is good, and if the line is good, then.
And what's the timeline on that?
I haven't contacted the vendor yet, to be honest, to get a look at it, but that's probably one of the first things that I do tomorrow in the next couple of days to get a vendor out.
So we can have that in our Friday update?
Maybe not this Friday, but the following Friday.
We'll be looking for it.
Mr. Goodland?
Well, just one really simple, little, easy thing that you could add to your project list is a tie back for this screen, so those board members don't have to hit it every time we go by it. And that would be very helpful, the reminder, but.
Notice Mr. Wong takes that direction now when he comes in. And so is it Mr. Hammond. Thank you, Ed.
I'll figure out something for that. Okay. Thanks.
Any other, I guess he's done. Dr. Taroshi mentioned earlier that we were moving an action item up, item J5, which is the facility master plan.
Yes.
Ms. Wu, are you going to lead us there?
Yes. Good evening, board. Finally, facility master plan. The business service department requests the board to approve the facility master plan service agreement with the NAC architect firm. And tonight with us is the principal, Michael Pinto, and he will present scope work for this agreement and answer any question from the board. And additional note is the existing facility master plan was created by Osborne architect firm years ago, and actually after merging, and NS architect is part of the Osborne. So just the notes. Here is Mr. Michael Pintos.
Good evening, board, Madam Superintendent, staff. That was part of my introduction, that I am from NAC Architecture, and we were from Osborne Architects and merged 4 years ago. So it's good to be back here in Monrovia. 20 years ago, when the master plan was being done, I personally was going through every classroom as a younger architect, working with other people in our firm. So the question of a scope of work for the master plan, updating a master plan that is 20 years old does take some effort. We have identified 3 scopes of work working with Mr. Cross that we think are great first steps for the district. First is an ADA transition plan. ADA is Americans with Disabilities Act. A transition plan is something that a school district or any public agency should have on file that charts how one removes accessibility barriers and a schedule for doing so. That is a way to communicate to the public that there is a plan for removing barriers. So an ADA transition plan is item number 1. Item number 2 is a new facilities assessment. There was a facilities assessment done in 1996. A lot of that may still be valid, but we need to go back through and see what's been done, what is degrading, what issues have emerged in that time. Things like campus access and security, the structural condition of various buildings. The state has a list called an AB 300 list of buildings that are deemed worthy of structural investigation based on their construction type, based on our understanding of how certain types of construction perform in earthquakes. Assessment and categorization of existing permanent buildings. looking for deficiencies in architectural maintenance, observable systems, and general condition. Site and building deficiencies relative to fire, life safety, and access requirements, roofing, and those kinds of things that if we don't deal with are going to create bigger maintenance issues over time. And then the final item is cost estimating. How do we quantify, how do we put some kind of understanding of what is the magnitude of the kinds of things that the board could entertain doing over time to improve school facilities. So that is the scope for this phase. There are other items that we talked about that may be done later, but that is what we talked about for this first phase. So I'd be happy to entertain any questions if you have any.
You know, it would behoove me not to make this comment, but based on your history as a young architect, would that in some shape or form warrant a decrease in the cost since your knowledge is already there?
Well, we did account for knowledge that we have. We do have some documents that are going to help us. Basically, though, we are going to send our own team into every building in the campus. We have electrical and mechanical engineers that are going to be joining us, and cost estimator that's going to, so it's not just us. We're actually an umbrella for a number of other consultants that will join the project.
I just didn't want to be behooved.
Understood.
One of the questions that we've been asking as a board is what's our upcoming need for site infrastructure?
Mm-hmm.
We've got utility systems that were put in these sites up to, like 80 years ago, 90 years ago. I didn't hear you mention site utilities in your list of things you were going to look at. And so my question is, are you going to look at site utilities and how deeply?
Yeah, so what we have not included was scoping of utility lines and destructive testing. That is something that could be done, but we will be able to look at site power distribution, how water is getting to the site, how sewer is getting away, how sites are draining. But we are going to be limiting it to what we can observe, not to what it would require some kind of destructive testing. That can be included if we find things that we decide are worthy of additional investigation. We would make those recommendations.
Are you going to give us I'm not sure exactly how to put this, but what I want to know is which of these utility system, pipes, gas system, water system, where the most potential is for failure. So are you going to just, by looking at the age and type of construction, be able to tell us if we want to scope something, where the first place is to scope it, and have some priority for ultimate replacement of some of these systems that are so old?
Yeah, I think based on the age of systems, everything has a lifespan, from HVAC to certain types of piping. So what we can discern from both on-site observations and data that we'll collect from Mr. Cross and his team, we will be able to make those recommendations.
So that'll be a part of the report you're going to provide us. Thank you.
Certainly.
So when we last renovated the high school, we had a number of surprises as we were starting to rebuild. Underground vaults we didn't know about, sewer lines we didn't know about, electrical lines we didn't know where they went to, what they were for. They weren't on any schematics anywhere. A lot of the paperwork was I think stored in areas that may have been impacted by previous floods or other things. Is there going to be part of your scope of work confirming the existing schematics that we have to be accurate?
So the only way to do that is through some kind of destructive testing or potholing or X-ray. At this time, we have not included that. That is costly to do. And those are the types of things that are facing every district. Almost every district that we're working in, and we're working quite a few, does not have a great handle on what's hidden. It can be done, but it's costly, and we often have to weigh the cost-benefit relationship of those items. It's certainly up to the board, should you want to acquire that information.
Since I'm not sure what Mr. Cross is going to say the need for that is, let me ask you this question. So on the work that you are doing, will you be drawing or putting together a confirmation of the things that you've seen so that we can at least have records of every system that you've inspected and its operational status, or whether it is a redundant system or what the status of that particular system is, for lack of better terms?
Yeah, so there will be a report that discusses the status of systems that we're going to be interfacing with, and the condition of those utilities as we find them. Yes.
Perfect.
Just to be clear. Excuse me, just to be clear, I've been wanting this for a very long time, and I want to make sure that the questions get answered, the ones I'm looking for.
Sure.
This will deliver to us a lifespan of the current condition of our facility. It will prioritize those that are running out of time, so that it's apparent that, and I'm going to use this as an example, the roof on the gymnasium has 2 years left to go. It'll be specific like that, so that this board, when we're taking our limited funds and we're looking at how to expend them with the best value for that, we will know where the greatest need is that is immediate.
Yes. The precision to be able to tell you lifespan of existing systems is somewhat of an educated guess. How much time a roof has in it left is, a prognostication. That being said, based on experience, we can say this roof was installed at this time. It has served 15 years. It is likely to have 5 years before we would recommend replacing it. However, at this time, it's in visibly good shape. So there's a lot of factors. It's not always just the age of something. Sometimes things have been maintained better than other things. But we will put a priority and a degree to which we're going to have to come up with some kind of rating system as we go through this to be able to put relative value or urgency of the various systems that we're interfacing
That is
with.
precisely what I'm looking for.
Yes.
Is what is being viewed that it is critical that we address this immediately.
Right. Yes, I think, once we do the first round of survey, what we typically do is kind of lay it all out and start curating, cataloging things to be able to put things in high priority groups and to figure out where is that line between highest priority, a medium priority, and a low priority, or some other way of rating. But depending on what we find, we will be able to quantify and put in those groups. Oftentimes, we also want to put in, the highest priority, a manageable kind of set of issues that are within some kind of funding possibility. So we're not inundating you with, here's 4,000 items that you're not going to be able to do. So, but we will find a way to prioritize and put in those groupings.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any additional questions or comment? I'd like to entertain a motion for the facility plan by the NAC architect.
I will move approval.
Ms. Huff.
Second.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board Member Gilliland?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Rich?
Yes.
Board President Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Shoshana. Now we are going to entertain our consent agenda, which consists of 18 routine items of business placed on the consent agenda, have been carefully screened by the members of the staff and will be acted upon by the board in one motion upon one request by any. Motion's on the floor.
I want to request that we pull item H.14 and hear it at its regular place, which would be J.4. There was just a minor correction in that, and I think we need to get that out before we approve it.
With that notation, I'd move approval.
Second.
Ms. Huff?
Board Member Gilliland?
Yes.
Board Member Rich?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Williams? I'm
Yes.
sorry, Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board President Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Shoshana. Moving to our action items, educational service led by Dr. Kaiser, please.
Yes, and we bring before you tonight, Board, a multiple-year purchase and sales agreement between the Center for Math and Teaching and the Monrovia Unified School District. The Board of Education is requested to approve a multi-year purchase and sales agreement between the Center and Monrovia Unified School District for math and teaching for math links. The cost is approximately $105,000 for the materials and will be split over 3 years as follows. Year 1, 45%, year 2, 35%, and year 3, 20%, and will be paid from various sources, including but not limited to lottery funds and the LCFF. This is an item where the teachers had come and presented their participation in piloting and selecting these products.
Questions or comments for Dr. Kaiser?
Move approval.
Ms. Huff?
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Rich?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board Member Gilliland?
Yes.
Board President Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item J2, acknowledge the public hearing for local control accountability plan. It's open up for the public for hearing. Do we have any comments whatsoever regarding this? Other than that, I would like Dr. Kaiser to present any information to us pertaining to this.
Yes, I'm pleased to bring before you tonight the public hearing to take testimony from the public to discuss the updated local control accountability plan prior to adoption on June 27th, 2018. The local control accountability plan is an important component of the local control funding formula. And under the LCFF, all districts are required to prepare a local control accountability plan, which describes how districts intend to meet the annual goal for all pupils with specific activities to address state and local priorities. In the last year, I thought I would highlight 3 things that we're especially proud of that these funds allowed us to do. We expanded and developed pathways at the high school that are school to career pathways that have to do with technology. We were able to expand Code to the Future at the middle school, which
Excuse
is
me, Dr. Kaiser, we're going to have a point of order. 1 second.
Yes.
It has to be a public hearing first and then the report.
Okay.
Before we even go there, what is the motion to do? We already had the public hearing. We're not going to approve this until June 27th.
I don't think it's an action item. I think the point of this is to be.
It's not an action item.
That's an error in the agenda. It's not an action item.
It's not an action item.
No, I think that the purpose of this only is to have a public hearing and then close it and then move
Right.
on to the next point. There's no action.
And if I recall, I did entertain the public. So forgive me if I'm not in order.
You have to physically open it and then close it.
I stand corrected. It has been moved, opened, and closed. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Watch, this open, this is a public hearing, so open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on, for, or against, and if no one shows up, you close it.
Okay. Now, with respect to my earlier comments, wouldn't that pretty much mirror what I said? We're just going to open it here. We'll open it. We'll close it if there's no other public comments. Are we all on the same page?
Well, physically, if anyone wishing to speak on this item.
I think that's pretty clear.
Well, no, you have to say it. It's procedural.
I get that. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? We're a team, guys. No big deal.
Seeing and hearing no one, close it.
As Rob Hammond just articulated, seeing and hearing no one closes. No, I received it well, guys. We're all together.
We're good now.
Thank you for that.
And that's the end of this item.
Yes, it is. All right, let me catch myself. We're going to be moving all the way down to J6, Ms. Wu. Dr. Tarosian, did we want to make the action item I-14, as mentioned by Mr. Gilliland?
Yes, and what I'd also like to do, if that's okay with the board, is to pull action item 4, the resolution to adopt CUPCA, to pull that from this agenda.
That's what I recall, so noted.
And as Mr. Gilliland mentioned, we have some minor revisions. I have copies here for the board for the new wellness policy. And what it does is simply identify the superintendent or designee as the person determining those involved with either the committee or the designees at the school sites.
There's really two minor changes which I requested and Kathy or Dr. Throsian put together this afternoon so we could pass this if we want to. One is it had named specific people to positions, which would mean we'd have to change policy or AR every time a person changed. So it now just says that the superintendent will designate that, and then we'll get that report later. And the second thing, there were some 9 very specific things in the AR that could be in the assessment. And it's like, if they could be in an assessment, that's a part of this, the state rules. Why would we want to reiterate that in our AR? We may change which ones we use each year, and the committee can make those changes. So those are the 2 changes that we asked to be made.
Okay, from my understanding, it moved from consent to action? Oh,
Yeah, so we'll need a motion.
okay, just want to be clear.
I move that we approve the board policy and AR as amended by Mr. Gilliland.
Second.
Ms. Huff.
Board Member Rich?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board Member Gilliland?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board President Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Shoshana. Ms. Wu, now I believe we're at the item J6, entertaining the project change order, number 1, Prop 39.
Yes. Good evening, Board. And the Board of Education has approved a service agreement with a Little architect firm for the Population 39 HVAC replacement project at Plymouth and Santa Fe. Due to the heavier replacement HVAC units, including the energy efficiency, the DSA require us to do additional structural review and design work. Therefore, the scope of work for architect firm has been increased. Therefore, we request the board to approve the change order from Little architect firm in amount of $43,200.
Questions or comments, Ms. Wu?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Huff?
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board Member Gilliland?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Rich?
Yes.
Board President Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Shoshana. Item J7, purchase of new school buses. Ms. Huff, forgive me, Ms. Wu.
Yes. Again, good evening, Board. And right now, our transportation department has 9 old buses. Out of 9 buses, 5 of them are compressed natural glass, and the control and the dashboard parts for this CNG buses are out of date. Is no longer available for the repair. And in addition, it will cost district $35,000 to repair and upgrade these 5 buses, and additional $75,000 for the civil requirement. So it will approximately save the district $153,000 annually if we're replacing these CNG buses with diesel buses, because the repair cost and the renting cost for the CNG fuel station is very expensive. It is cost effective for the district to replace these CNG buses, and the newer buses will be provide more up to code requirement for the district, and also give us the opportunity to provide transportation for the special education students. And we will also request the board to approve that we, instead of leasing the 5 buses, we do the internal financing to save the cost of the interest, and then the general fund will replace the minimum of $134,000 annually back to the fund. We refinance the cost.
And I think it's safe to say those CNG buses didn't quite turn out like everybody thought they would, and the cost has become prohibitive.
That's correct.
Although we did get our good lifetime and full use out of the ones we had, and now it's just time to replace them.
That's correct. It's a cost benefit.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify and make sure we're understanding. So the typical way that we do this is we enter into a lease agreement, but based on the fact that the cost of the lease agreement is over 4%, it is more cost effective for this district to be able to reallocate or transfer funds from a reserve account and basically pay for it in whole, and then repay that reserve account over time, which would have been the same as what we would do when we do a lease payment, but the difference being that we're going to be saving about 3% of interest cost. So internally, the funds that we're transferring were not earmarked for any specific project at this point in time. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Wong.
And we confirmed with the county and our accounting and auditing firm that that transfer and those use of funds is an acceptable practice.
That's correct.
Thank you.
I had a question on the term that was used as the redevelopment. I didn't understand that since redevelopment agencies no longer exist when
Yes, this is a terminology. You're definitely right, Mr. Hammond. This is older terminology we continue to carry, so that's familiar with everybody. Actually, this is there's no string attached. The district can use this for any education facility, and we are lucky that because we have a healthy reserve, we are lucky to have ability to internal borrowing.
The question that Mr. Hammond asked was the question that I was trying to bring up. So the money that we have is in an account that is not being, it's been renamed, but those funds haven't been marked for anything. The purchase of those buses is not specifically identified as something we can use those funds for. So before we use those funds, I asked that we confirm with the county and with our auditor that the transfer of funds, internal transfer of funds was acceptable and that we didn't break any rules. So by doing so, instead of having, $900,000 plus collecting dust at 1% interest, we're going to use those funds instead of paying 4.3% interest. So net savings will get about 3% a year on funds that we couldn't use because we didn't meet any of the parameters for those redevelopment funds at this point in time. So even though that fund doesn't exist today as it did then, the parameters for the use of those funds are still in place. Mm-hmm. So we still have to meet the old rules before we can use it.
And then my question on the follow-up for redevelopment, I think there was an MOU with the city that existed that there had to be concurrence between the city and the schools that it was a joint use project, like when we paid for the gymnasium at Santa Fe. So does this have the same MOU attached to it?
Not I'm aware of.
That's why I asked for clarification from our auditors and county to make sure that
I know there's an MOU there.
I understand completely. And this is why I wanted to make sure that we are in complete agreement with all use of the funds that are attached. So the bottom line is, although the funds are coming from there, we're repaying that account.
Sure. So we're borrowing.
So we're borrowing it internally. So
you're right. I'm down.
Right.
I just want to make sure, because we do have an MOU, did our partner, did we inform our partner?
Yeah. So, Mr. Hammer, if I can help, we received the information from county and they referred the California School Accounting Manual. And the California School Accounting Manual under the Community Development Fund, not subject to LCFF deduction. It's a recorded community redevelopment funds not subject to the LCF deduction pursuant to Ed Code Section 2575 or 42238, including account receipt pursuant to Health and Safety Code Section, and then it is that are used for the land acquisition, facility construction, reconstruction, remodeling, deferred maintenance, or other education facilities.
I understand. If I am thinking that this is the same account that existed back when a redevelopment agency existed, which is, it was funded, I mean, I can give you the whole history of redevelopment, but I won't bore you. The issue at hand is there's an MOU that exists with the city that goes with that money, okay? And it was specifically to be used as a joint use project. That is the MOU, as I recall it. If this is the exact same account that we're gonna be borrowing money from, I think that we should probably go and talk to our partner and let them know that we're doing this. That's what I want to be careful
Ms.
with.
Wu, what Mr. Hammond is saying is, in addition to the state statutes that you're reading to him, the district had agreed, because the city is a partner of ours, that when we receive these funds, that in addition to meeting state and federal rules, we would enter into programs that were to the joint benefit of the city and to the school district. In the past, some of those projects, to my recollections, were work on the high school pool, Santa Fe or Clifton, Santa Fe gym, perhaps some of their field works, maybe the lights at Clifton. There's been a number of projects that we utilized funds that there were joint benefits. So that issue came up a number of years ago. I can't remember whether that agreement was nullified or not. I think we would need to go back to look at it. But in any case, even though we are not utilizing those funds and expending them without their knowledge, we're borrowing them because we don't have the ability to use them at this point in time. I do think that in the spirit of cooperation, it would be best, at the very least, to inform them what we're doing and why we're doing it.
I agree, and I would.
But you're correct. Those funds in their original state were set up differently and had different rules applied to them.
So, I will do this. I will make a motion to approve, with the stipulation that we contact the city and inform them what it is that we're doing with this, so they have full knowledge of what's happening. How money got in that account was a thing called tax increment. And this will be a very brief story on how that money got there. Is at one particular time, there was an assessed value of what that property was. It was then stuck into a redevelopment area. And then as the property value grew, the dollars over the floor became the tax increment. And the amount of money that the schools would have received from the extra value on that property and or use is what the city used for redevelopment when it started cleaning up Huntington and Myrtle and all the projects that it did. In order to make sure the school didn't lose any of its money, it had a thing called pass-through, which is what filled this account up. It was pass-through funds. And that's how it got there. So the city is acutely aware of the money and the partnerships that exist for that money. And I want to be very clear with the city that that's what we're planning on doing with the money. Not even asking for permission, just informing them so that no one's surprised at the fact that we're using that money that was held as tax increment through that. This is what we're doing with it.
Yeah,
that's
will do.
I would say that absolutely in the spirit of cooperation, we should inform them what's going on. But at the same time, be aware that there is I'm going off of memory here, which can be a little sketchy. But I think that the rules changed and that MOU, there was an effect on that MOU. But in any case, regardless if that MOU is in place or not, there is no harm in letting the city know what we're doing and why. And then we can figure out details later.
And I think we should do that, but I also think we're going to borrow money from this redevelopment fund. We're going to pay money back into this redevelopment fund, but I would like to see this district within the next 3 or 4 months have a plan for the use of that money.
Good
'Cause
idea.
if we keep leaving it sit in a reserve pot, someday the state's going to come and say,
Yeah, you know
"Oh, hey,
that's right."
redevelopment money, grab it.
Yeah,
And so, before the next school year starts, I would like to see some kind of plan as what it is we're going to use that money for. And then, as we repay it, we'll have projects for it to go in that we can at least bring to the city and say, hey, these are the projects we're doing with these funds, even if that MOU's been nullified.
So I'll second Mr. Hammond's motion and also ask that we visit that MOU and what the structure of that is right now. Put it in the Friday update.
All right, it's been motioned with additional language for Mr. Hammond and second by Mr. Rich. Ms. Huff?
Board Member Gilliland?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
yes.
Board Member Rich?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board President Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Now we're at item J, proposed adopted budget and public hearing for the SI. Again, I'd like to share their public hearing. Anyone wanting to speak on this item, please do so now. If not, Ms. Wu, would you share your intelligence regarding the adopted budget? Forgive me, let me close that. Thank you for that language. Let me close the, this is my first time doing such, so.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Just take your time.
okay.
Yes, good evening. So while Shoshana helped us to, for the technical difficulty solve it, and I was studying the 18-19 adult budget process, and board, it is time for the 18-19 school year adult budget, and this is the final major budget report for the 17-18 school year, and since the last major report for the district budget is the second interim. And there's a couple major events happened since the second interim report. It will impact the district budget, including the multi-year projections. And when the governor released the May revision, the budget assumption, especially the revenue assumption, has been increased and changed. And also, there's some major event that will impact the district budget for the expenditure side. The first is the health insurance coverage, and starting 18-19 school year, the district will join a pooled health insurance plan, which means that because we join the pool, then it will reduce our health insurance premium renew. And the other one is the ASCAPE and JPA member, and at the May board meeting, the board approved resolution approve the district to join the ASCAPE and Joint Power Authority to cover district property liability and works comp coverage, because our current JPA will be dissolved at the end of June. So this will impact the cost of a premium in our district risk management. The other things is the district and bargaining unit will reach a tentative agreement. So pending on tonight's board approval, this will impact our entire cost multi-year projection, the budget, and also the change of the one-time monies. And as Mr. Gilliland mentioned, that we will list some more project we know or we plan use the different funds. Of course, this is ongoing. This project list is the living documentation, and with the board input, we will continue update and change. So for the revenue side, when the governor releases a budget, the quota will be changes. And in the next 2 years, which is 18-19 and the 19-20, the quota will be an increase from the governor's January preliminary budget, which is from 2.51 to 3%. And we anticipate that when the governor adopts the state budget scheduled in this Friday, which is June 15, and the quota most likely will be increased again from 3% to 3.7%. And once it's finalized, the district will revise our budget accordingly. So the 1920 is also increased, but however, 2021, the COLA will be reduced from 2.8 to 2.67. Again, one-time money compared with the January preliminary for per ADA, there's $49 per ADA increase, which is from $295 per ADA to $344 per ADA. So the next line lists the impact of a dollar amount. You will see that there's around over $250,000 increase for one-time money. But again, we received information from Sacramento. There will be changes for the one-time money when the governor adopted its June 15th, the final state budget, which means that he will most likely increase the quota and then reduce the one-time discretionary funding fund. So the major changes in the expenditure budget, it is the health insurance percentage. During the second interim report, we projected 10% in the 3 years multi-year projection because of the joint the poor covered insurance coverage, and that projection has been reduced according to input from our insurance broker to make it more reflect our future cost. Again, this is a pie chart that reflects how districts spend our dollar amount. So 83% for the personnel and the benefit. 3% is books supplies. Additional 12% is the service and operation. The 1% is for the contribution as well as the certificate of participation and the facility project. So this is the snapshot for the multi-year projection starting with this current year. And I want to bring the board attention that because the board has not approved the tentative agreement, we did not budget expenditure. However, in order to avoid overstanding any fund balance, we put the tentative agreement in the second row to list the specific cost. So the tentative settlement agreement above the unassigned appropriate, this is the budget impact for the bargaining unit settlement. So we project that during the next 18-19 school year, and looks like we stopped deficit spending. However, from 2021, because the cost increase, the health insurance increase, the personal service increase, and we do project that is deficit spending. So here are the 3 other funds, their budget situation. We still have a pretty good any fund balance in addition set aside for the negotiation for 1.5% for adult education program. Because the state increased the funding for child development, so we're still able to make it. And I do want to let board know that we may have potential challenge for the child nutrition program. And in this district, we are very proud of that. At this day, the child nutrition program is stand alone, which means the financially is self-support. But with the cost increase at a certain point, there's a possibility that they can no longer self-support. Because the state, the federal increased the per meal reimbursement by 6 cents per meal, but however, our cost of operating is more than 6 cents. So we project by the end of 18-19, they still have a positive balance, but we will keep monitor the program. There will be challenge down the road. So here's the list, and I separate by different funding group and the list of project. The first one is the development fee. We're fortunate that due to the increased enrollment at Monroe and the Plymouth due to the dual merging program, we will use that money to adjust the kindergarten equipment, and we'll also depend on according to the site request, we were expanding the library at Monroe and possible bring additional portable to meet the increasing enrollment requirement. For the capital outlay, which means the redevelopment agency money, we listed the facility master plan. The board just approved tonight. We will spend paid by that fund, And then we also have the HVAC, the Proposition 39, the district only received $1.3 million grant money for the HVAC replacement at the 4 school site. In order to fix the problem, because the school site, all our HVAC units end of the life, the total project will be cost over $2 million. So that is why we set aside over $1 million estimate cost will be paid by the redevelopment agency fund. The other things is the cafeteria project and floor at the Santa Fe. We just started. It will be paid that fund also. The other chunk part of money is the deferred maintenance. We will base the deferred maintenance again. It is the old terminology. The state is no longer funding us because funding is a part of LCFF. So the district still transfer $1,000 a year to make sure that we have enough funding for that pocket of money, and we'll take care of our facility. So here are the list of projects we are listing this funding project. It is including the HVAC, the press box, and 210 at the high school, and the black oil asphalt, and also the cabinet replacement at Plymouth. So what is next step? Next step is this is a public hearing. The board will approve the adult budget and the LCAP at the June 27th board meeting, and the board will planning board approve for the negotiation for this school year, and then we're starting to close the book during the summers. So any question about the adult budget from the board?
Just a quick comment. I'd like to thank you and Mr. Conway and your staff for preparing such a thick book.
Yeah.
And thank you for articulating and dissecting it as well. And on behalf of Board Member Wong and myself, who serves in the capacity as a football announcer and a soccer announcer, thank you for the air conditioner in the booth. Any other comments from the board? Since this is not an action item. All right, Ms. Wu, can you entertain us with the extension of lease between Monrovia Unified and Options for Learning?
The lease between the Option for Learning and the Monrovia Unified School District end June 30th, which is this month. And in order to accommodate the summer program, and we will extend the lease for 2 months, which is in July and August, and then the lease will be end at the end of August. This is an extension for the original lease for 2 months, and the payment is the same as the original lease at $250 per month. Basically, they lease our parking space, and the portable and the utility will be paid by Options.
Any comments regarding Options?
Just a question. Are there any plans to extend this lease, or is this going to be the end of it?
I think this is the end of it.
Thank you.
This was, the extension of the lease was really at the request of the parents with whom we met a couple of times, trying to get their child care needs met as they transitioned into a different program. For them, transportation is an issue. There are lots of different issues, and we want to make sure to work with our parents as partners while still meeting the needs of our school district. And because work in that area was not going to begin until the start of the school year, we were very happy to extend the lease as long as it helped them.
And in addition, Mr. Wong, I understand that we're reaching out for surrounding club membership, such as the Boys Club, for some alternative plans, shall I say?
That's correct.
Motion's on the floor.
I'm so moved.
Second.
Ms. Huff.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Rich?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Sure.
Board Member Gilliland?
Yes.
Board President Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Ms. Huff. Ms. Wu, professional service agreement with Athens Workers' Compensation?
Yes, President William. Athens is one of the third-party administrator under the ASCAPE, and this agreement basically will take care of the old existing works comp claim, which is before June 30th. And the cost of this service is $60,000. And I'm happy to report the board that the price compared with our other neighbor district and with the number of the outstanding claim, and I think we get the best price. And this price is subject to further decrease, because I work diligently with my assistant. We are closing the existing claim as much as possible, and we schedule July 31st. We will review the current open claim, and if there's a need, then Anthony is willing to reduce this cost.
Questions, comments?
I make the motion.
Second.
Ms. Huff?
Board Member Rich,
Yes.
Board Member Hammond,
Yes.
Board Member Gilliland.
Yes.
Board Member Wong,
Yes.
Board President Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Replacement of playground equipment at Monroe and Plymouth Elementary School. Ms. Wu?
Yes, as I presented in the budget presentation, and we do plan to move forward, use development fee to replace the kindergarten playground equipment and both Monroe and Plymouth. The scope of the work including, but not limited to, the removal and the dispose of the old existing equipment and the surfacing, install new base material for the new fall protection service, and install a new fall protection service according to the age group and the code.
What is the purpose for this?
There's two
Not the
purposes.
playground. What's the
Okay.
purpose for this item on the agenda? Is it to approve a contract?
Yes, agreement, contract and purchase material and the installment.
And the total cost
Yeah.
for the public is how much?
That's, the total cost is $215,628.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any additional questions or comments?
I so move.
Second.
Ms. Huff?
Board Member Hammond,
Yes.
Board Member Gilliland.
Yes.
Board Member Wong,
Yes.
Board Member Rich,
Yes.
Board President Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Dr. Terosian, item J12, is this not considered as an action item? I have an X.
That is correct, President Williams.
Okay.
It is not an action item, and so it was listed incorrectly. However, the AB 1200 does need to be publicly reviewed and presented to the public.
Again, we're entertaining public hearing. Anyone wanting to speak to this item?
Are we opening a public hearing for this, or what is the
the-
manner in
this-
which we're notifying the public?
Thank you for the clarification. No,
Thank
this
you,
is,
Wong.
a public hearing is not required for this. However, Ms. Wu will present the AB 1200 documents, and this is to receive for public disclosure the tentative agreement that we have with both associations and any additional increases that we have adjusted for a multi-year projection into our, with contracts or budgets.
Much like a first reading, is that what you're saying?
It is exactly like a first reading at a time when additional questions may be asked by the board as usual.
Thank you.
Thank you for the clarity, Mr. Wong, and the open question.
Give it to Connie.
And so I'll just turn it over to Ms. Wu.
Yeah.
Sorry-
Thank you,
sorry.
Dr. Torosian.
Where I was going to.
Yes, the education ed code required the district to submit a summary for a tentative agreement to the County Office of Education to review, and make the summary also available to the public at least 10 working days prior to the day the Board of Education to take action on the agreement. And this AB 1200 report prepared reflected the tentative agreement the district with MTA, CSEA, MESA, and CCM for a 1.5 salary increase retroactive to July 1st, 2017, which is beginning of the school year. And the budget impact is for the 17-18 school year, it will increase the unrestricted general fund and the contribution fund is $655,545. For the local control supplemental concentration funding, will cost is $37,117. For the category program, it will be $51,309, and the other fund, which including adult education, child development, food service, is around $63,329. And we will represent this agenda again for our next board meeting, which on June 27 for board final approval.
Thank you, Ms. Wu. We're all clear? Moving forward, J13, technology, from our Chief Technology Officer regarding the Aries software subscription and upgrade. Mr. Charles.
Yes, this item is for the renewal and upgrade of our Aries student information system. Mid-February, Aries provided a presentation on what the district is currently using, the various options that Aries has that the district was not paying for. We were able to obtain some feedback with the group and also followed up with an additional Aries presentation and feedback from the principal recently. The board is requested to approve this upgrade as presented, which includes Aries hosting, Aries online enrollment, and Aries EM2, which is an emergency app. The cost for this is an upfront cost of $46,722, followed by an annual cost of $44,722, and that cost is dependent on enrollment numbers.
Questions or comment for Charles?
How is our how is the system being evaluated by parents, students, and administrators at this point versus systems that we've used in the past?
You're talking about components within Aries, or you're talking about just all different SISs altogether?
All systems put together. There seems to have been a number of complaints and issues over this last year regarding various parts of Aries.
Okay. So we've been in various talks with Aries, and they've been in development of a lot of new products. And one of the things that we did was we did do away with School Loop, thinking that Aries web would fully meet our needs. What Aries did was that some of those components, they actually moved it to Aries, a product called Aries Communicate. We looked at what Aries was currently developing. We looked at all of their components, and we also looked at School Messenger as well. And a lot of the communications piece will be handled by our School Messenger. The only thing that is missing at this point will be an internal messaging type system with this renewal. There are some instructions that we are looking into to allow teachers to be able to message our parents a little bit more efficiently. And we're currently working on instructions for that. I actually have a sample instruction from one of those school districts that I'm taken from that hopefully will allow us to close that gap.
So we've tested this new messaging system, and you're convinced that this is going to meet our needs.
The School Messenger is what we currently have. So what we're trying to do is expand on the capabilities of School Messenger that we haven't been using.
Okay, when you say we're going to try, what does that mean? Does that mean that we have a program that's going to be in place that's going to be rolled out in September? Or this means that we're working indefinitely to try to come to a solution?
We're working to try to come to a solution. So part of the Aries hosted solution is that they provide integration with third-party software. So we're going to take advantage of that because we're going to be providing them with a list of all the curriculum software and as well as software such as School Messenger that we would like to integrate. And we're going to try to integrate them as tightly as possible.
Do we have any information on how the usage of the Aries system by parents and families has been compared to School Loop?
I don't have any statistics at this point. I can double check with our Aries person and get back to you on a Friday update.
You know, my concern is that School Loop was an incredible tool as a parent. It gave a tremendous amount of access that I otherwise was unable to get from my high school students or middle school students. And the questions and problems that I've heard parents basically just made them just say, I'm not doing this. So I want to know at the end of the day, we've had an entire year, what is the usage of this system by the parents, the people we're trying to reach and communicate with, versus what we had? Is it going down? Is it going up? Is the overall sense that this is working or not working? Because if it's not working, I would rather go to a system that is proven to be successful, whether it's School Loop or somebody else, doesn't really matter. But the entire purpose of this is to engage the parents and make them understand, let them understand where their children are and how they can best assist in their child's education. And if we can't provide that, we're failing. So, you know, it's great that we're using as much technology as we can. We're trying to get the newest and the best products, but the rubber has to meet the road at some point in time. And, you know, I really am not jumping for joy that we're the guinea pig district and the beginning portion didn't work the way that the board was told that it was going to work, to be honest with you. So I want to, now the entire year has gone by, theoretically a lot of bugs and glitches have been worked out. I want to report, I would like to have a report on where it stands, and moving forward, to have a better timeline on when things are going to be fully usable.
I concur with Brian. It has to be user-friendly. The fact that the old system made us so much smarter than our kids was something to boast about. And if the parents didn't have the ability to mirror what the teachers are doing in the classroom by being proactive, my daughters used to just look at me. How do you know? And we lost that ability to engage the parents when we say mirror what the teachers are doing in the school at home. That tool that Brian mentioned made me the smartest parent in the house because I was ahead of my wife because I was reading that. And so I concur with Brian that we've got to make it user-friendly. It would behoove us, and that's one of my favorite words, to just receive this after a year and still have the same hiccups. With that said, any other comments or questions for our CFO?
Quick one.
Technology,
Charles,
excuse me.
Yeah, there we go. I just got confused there. Parent communication and interaction with Aries is just one small component. Can you just explain most of the uses that Aries is there for, as far as the data collection, and explain all the items we use Aries for, in addition to parent communication?
Well, Aries is also used for gradebook. Aries is also using for our reporting to the state of our information. It's also used as basically our central database for what other systems rely on as well, such as Illuminate. We also use it for some of our curriculum software because that's the basis of how we populate our usernames and passwords for some of the curriculum software. It's basically, think of it as the bread and butter of the school district as far as technology is concerned. It's a very important piece of technology, whether instructional or informational or on the IT side.
So Aries in and of itself is huge as far as the data in this district. The communication portal that you're talking about with Aries being able to support third-party partners is what we'll explore, but that's not necessarily Aries. It's partnering with third-party developers to have access to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's my concern. Aries is clearly a backbone technology for our district in a number of items. And so it seemed at the time that it was a natural bridge to use that as the communication piece to go to the parents. But I don't think that it worked out the way or fulfilled the promises that we thought it was going to, as far as fully being able to replace everything that School Loop did and the ease that it was able to be done with. It just seemed to have more issues to it than we were expecting. And that's why if I understand correctly, that's why we're looking at a better option.
Can we try something? We will have a whole bunch of people registering for school at the high school in August. Could we develop a quick survey for what So when they go, no, I'm not talking about fresh, well, could be freshman because they would have used it this year.
I think we
For
might want to do
anybody-
middle school where the parents are still fully involved.
Well, the issue that I want to look at, I want to make sure that the people who were there had a good full year of using it. And the question is it user-friendly? Or do you find it accessible? Do you find it to be working for you so that we can have an answer for that? Because we want to ask the people who are using it, and I'm trying to think where we're going to have a bucket full of people. You're going to have them at the high school when they register for school.
If I remember registration at the high school, though, you're in so many different things going on at the same time.
No, they streamlined this thing. It's quick.
Yeah.
I think we might be able to get a survey out.
But we need to make sure we get the word out that you can do it online and not have to go in person, right,
Well,
Charles?
well, I just think that, I think that the high school, a lot of the high school parents just send their kids to go take care of it themselves and say, here's your check. But I think that the middle school may be the parents are going to be far more active in walking through and making sure that they're there. And if we can have an
I am fine.
opportunity.
I just want a big pool of people that I can
Yeah.
ask questions to real quick.
Why don't we, because what Charles has done is heard some of the concerns about the transition. And the purpose of this action item is really to expand our usage of Aries so that we do fill some of those gaps,
I'm
right?
down on that, but we
And-
can also
and
put more verbiage
registration-
into a motion
Yeah.
to make it work. So that's what I want to find out right now.
And so registration is a good time to do that. Middle school, 8th grade may be the best pool, but we can expand it as far as possible. The high schoolers, registration is different at Monrovia High School than when you recall it, Mr. Wong, because they really have invited parents in and counselors are sitting with parents and
very-
reviewing. Well, as the most senior member of this board, Mr. Wong, we all recognize and venerate you. We thank you, venerable sir.
Charles,
He's got 8 more a year.
The online enrollment aspect of this, is it for new students to the district only or new students to a school, or is it for all students matriculating through the grades?
For new students to the district only. We already
That's all it is.
We already have for existing students in place.
So this part of it is just for new students to the district.
I got this. Then I understand. I know what to do with this thing next. Then there was a question: is Aries in Spanish?
I don't think they have it natively in Spanish. I'd have to get back to you. I think they might have a translate feature. And
Okay.
we know how that works. They use Google Translate or some other engine, and it's not perfect, but
Okay.
I'd have to get back to you on that.
So, I will make a motion to approve with the addition of developing a survey so that we can collect data on people who have been using Aries at the earliest possible opportunity.
Motion received. Can I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Huff.
Board Member Gilliland?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Rich?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board President Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Ms. Huff. At this time, I'd like to take a brief recess to reconvene a closed session. Okay, we want to officially close the closed session and reconvene the open session at 9:53 p.m. Oh boy. We want to move to the consider expulsion case 1718-7 for student 111115977. Mr. Rich, would you lead us in that effort?
President
table
Williams.
that.
Correction,
would like
I stand
to-
corrected. Guys, we got two, and I'm getting it mixed up, so forgive me too. We're going to table this into a further meeting with regards to item 14, expulsion 11115977. With regards to item 15, expulsion 111113683, Mr. Rich, can you lead us in that effort, please?
In the case of expulsion number 1718-18, student number 111113-683, I move that expulsion case number 1718-18, student number 1111113-683 be expelled with suspended enforcement through the first term of the 2018-19 school year. This expulsion is based on the findings of fact that the student violated the following provisions of Ed Code 48900, paragraph R, engaged in an act of bullying, including but not limited to bullying committed by means of an electronic act, and 48900.4, intentionally harassed, threatened, or intimidated, creating a hostile educational environment.
Second.
Board Member Wong,
Yes.
Board Member Rich,
Yes.
Board Member Hammond,
Yes.
Board Member Gilliland.
Yes.
Board President Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Ms. Huff. Item 16, board policies, tobacco-free schools. Dr. Kaiser?
Yes, we brought before you tonight, the Board of Education is requested to receive for first reading the board policies, tobacco-free schools, and tobacco and accompanying administrative regulations as recommended by the California School Boards Association. These policies are being revised as part of our tobacco use and prevention education program, the 2P program, the recertification process, and have adjustments that now include vaping as a tobacco substitute. That is the major change in these policies. The department is presenting these policies and accompanying administrative regulations for review and approval.
Questions or comment for Dr. Kaiser regarding the policy?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Huff?
Board Member Rich,
Yes.
Board Member Hammond,
Yes.
Board Member Gilliland.
Yes.
Board Member Wong,
Yes.
Board President Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Items 18, 19, 20, 21 will be tabled. Moving to item 22, pending board issues. Dr. Terosian?
Do we skip 17?
And 17, just for, we are also,
Forgive me, 17
that
was,
item as well.
it was acknowledged earlier that we're going to table it to July 25th. Forgive me. 18, 19, 20, and 21 will be tabled. Again, board, pending board issues. Forgive me.
At our next board meeting, some of these items will also be removed from the pending board issues. As they are presented, we try and remove them for each academic year. So the facilities master plan, now that it is complete, and the plan has been approved, or excuse me, the contract has been approved, we'll remove it. And what we'll add in its stead for the next academic year is when we will be receiving updates regarding it.
Mhm. In addition, we want to acknowledge the Bright Oaks front office interest that was mentioned, as well as the TV in the boardroom, as discussed.
Say again what you're gonna substitute for the master plan?
Updates from the progress made on the plan by NAC Architecture.
Yeah, so the master plan stays on there.
Yes.
And so- and what will be under the master plan is updates.
Regarding the work done by,
We will need some study sessions definitely to talk about what that shows us.
Comments regarding that? Questions? Okay, moving to item K, old business. The Board of Education meetings are as acknowledged, June the 27th and July the 25th. New business, summer school will take place at Canyon Early Learning Center, Plymouth Elementary School, Wild Rose, Clifton Middle School, and of course Monrovia High School. We'd like to adjourn the Board of Education open session meeting at, I'll say, 10 o'clock.
Yeah, we're gonna go back to
We are?
We're going to recess and we have to go.
Yeah, we just need to recess instead of close the open and go back into closed session. I
That's all
think.
right, just reopen closed session.
We're going back into closed session for what reason?
Darwin
Personnel.
had a report on personnel and an issue.
Personnel issue.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Jackson.
We don't get to that one.
Well, forgive the 8-hour sleep guy. That's what I get for sleeping 8 hours. We reconvene the closed session. Forgive me, guys. What a night.